Welcome to AM 605, real talk about how to prosper in challenging times. Featuring Vancouver's top realty, mortgage, and wealth advisors. Now, here are your hosts, Melissa Wu, Gary Chan, and Joe Tang.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to AM 605. Today is November 15th. Again, enjoying this beautiful sunshine. I'm Joe Tang.
And I'm Melissa Wu.
I'm Gary Chan.
So, what's going on, guys? What's happening in our fields recently?
Two things, I guess. Second lockdown.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden.
Right. That's right.
Joe Biden got elected, or at this point we believe that he's got elected. Obviously, Trump is not really accepting the fact, and he may be doing some things to repeal. But as of today, Biden has won
the new president-elect, right?
Yes.
With Kamala Harris as the vice president-elect.
Yes.
She's an amazing public speaker.
Oh, I believe it's a really good move. Mm-hmm. She represents a lot of a lot of different things from Trump, right? Mm-hmm.
So I heard that he will be undoing a lot of, almost kind of undoing.
Yeah, what kind of plans does he have? I think there's so what is he going to do about the vaccine? What have you guys heard?
Well, he's obviously the first priority. He assembled a new COVID-19 task force already. That was the first thing he did on Monday, was to combat COVID-19, which is very, very different than what Trump has been doing, which he didn't really care. He didn't really take it seriously. But this is the first priority on his list, was to combat COVID-19 in a serious manner.
So, what about testing? You know, Taiwan, they don't have cases, hey? Taiwan.
Seriously?
Yeah, very low numbers. They should model after certain successful countries or places that have done it really well. Cause it's just it's one of my friends is in Texas right now. Mm-hmm. She said it's just like a gong show.
Well,
there's no quarantine. People are infected every day, hundreds and thousands.
Well, I feel like it comes down to culture, right? Obviously they prefer freedom, right? You can't just lock them in their house and not let them come out, because then people will start taking it in a negative way, right? So I feel like it's a cultural thing, and I agree with you. If you can follow certain countries that have done it successfully, that would be great. But obviously, culturally, politically, is very different in certain areas, right? But well, it's been a week. It's like right now, it's beautiful sunshine, beautiful weather. It's getting cold out there though.
Mm-hmm. The leaves are falling. Lots of leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we don't go out, we have a lot of time at home.
Yeah. Which, by the way, we're kind of in a second restrictions right now. So a lot of times we're locked in for the last.
So how is it different than the last lockdown?
I feel like you're more familiar with it. You probably, for myself,
mm-hmm.
and you just stick to your schedule.
Okay.
For example, when it's time to wake up, you just wake up, and then you do your exercise, and then
mm-hmm.
you do your phone calls, right? Do your work, and then if you have the extra time, because now you're at home, I would learn something. For example, I tried to make crispy pork belly.
Is it difficult?
It's really easy. So what I usually do is I look at a few recipes
mm-hmm.
online, and then I think about how I want to do it. It turned out really great. Yeah.
So do you use vinegar at the end or no?
No. So what you have to do is the key to crispy is the drying the pork skin. So I leave it, I marinate it with the 5 spice and salt, but then the skin I leave it dry and open dry in the fridge for 2 days. So when you take it out, the skin is super dry already.
Yeah.
And then I just wrap it and put it in the air fryer, but leaving the skin exposed, but then the meat part is covered in foil. And then you just roast it. So the skin gets the heat, but then the meat stays juicy because you're covered in foil, right?
Yeah. Right.
It turned out super crispy.
Well, I think we're much better prepared this time around than the first time 6 months ago.
Right.
Everybody was panicking at that point. We didn't have masks, we didn't have hand sanitizers, but now we do.
Toilet paper.
Yeah.
We're like getting to it.
Yes,
later.
and masks is a lot cheaper nowadays.
Yeah.
I saw like $9.99. Some of them,
For like
I don't
50, yeah.
non-medical ones they are selling for like $4.99 for 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're much better prepared in this. I'll call it second lockdown, second restriction than the first time around. And obviously restaurants are still open right now.
Yeah. So it's very interesting because I think they were saying don't invite people over, but you can actually go out.
Yeah, so it's very different. Before it was like everybody stay home, don't come out, stay in your own homes, don't communicate, don't talk to people, don't look at people.
Well, I heard they actually found majority of the cases actually from like home.
Okay.
It's not from restaurants.
Because at home, I guess when you have a gathering, it's longer and you're closer. Coming to a restaurant, you're just kind of sitting a little bit distant. You won't be like hugging or.
Well, when you're home gathering, you're also not wearing masks, and chances are people, everybody's like getting close to each other. So that's how you spread the thing, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like we're much better prepared this time around. So even though, quote unquote, it's a second restriction, I don't feel like it's that negative compared to the first time. First time, everybody just did not know what was going on.
I think everyone's kind of like, it's not as unprecedented.
Yeah.
We kind of have experience.
Well, and the thing, we've experienced it, we know what to do, and then like nowadays too, we've all, in the last 6 months, in general, we've adapted. We accepted the fact, okay, that it's around, but we still have to work around it. Like we've accepted, we need to learn how to work with it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And this lockdown is only like for 2 weeks, right? For now.
For now. Yeah.
But they're gonna observe and see.
But the numbers is still quite high. Like it's kind of.
Yeah.
Yes. Is it from Halloween?
Well, it's 2 weeks. Makes sense. It makes sense. It's 2 weeks, right? So I think it makes sense. It may be. Obviously, the testing, right? Don't test people and you won't have the numbers.
So where do we get testing?
I think there's a few places in Vancouver.
But how do people know like if they should go for testing?
I think
If they suspect themselves they have COVID,
if you've got symptoms, if you
or
feel
you have like friends that got COVID, then you should actually go.
Oh.
Go first, and then you do your quarantine for 14 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keeping everyone safe. Okay.
But it's good though. We've kind of, like I said, I've obviously used a lot of Zoom technology nowadays, right, to host meetings and stuff like that. Just like I said, it's part of evolution, right? You adapt.
Yeah.
You adapt. You can't just stick in one spot and not change. And so, but how about you guys? Like, what's with this second restriction, like how are you guys adapting to it?
Well, I've been working at home for a long time. So we are a cloud brokerage. So a lot of time I just make my calls.
Yeah.
Yeah. People still answer phone calls.
Right.
Yes.
So make phone calls, do updates. So talk to agents. A lot of it's electronic signature. So I'm used to it. Yeah.
Yes. I have like all online meetings, like phone calls. I think I have more phone calls nowadays. Yeah. My phone bill, I was looking at it, like used to be like 60 pages. Now it's like 80.
You get like call log on your phone?
No, it's on the phone bill. If you look at phone bill, like I'm using
Statements,
Rogers.
statements.
Still
Which company? Is it?
Rogers.
Really? They give you like your call
Yeah.
log?
Yes, they do. Yes.
Yeah. I don't
Lots
have
of
a call
calls.
log. Oh.
Okay, coming back to Biden's plan. So first is the COVID, and what else is he
So
gonna do?
we getting the relationship back with Trudeau, right? Canada. How does it relate? What is his policy?
Well, let's just assume that Biden is the exact not exact opposite, quite opposite from Trump, and everything that. To Trump's credit, like he did do what he said he was gonna do, but there's a balance between what he was gonna do and then
How he did it.
and how he did it, and doing it while pissing everybody off around him. And so I think with Biden, he's more of a symbol of being back to more of a political.
Yeah, he's more like politically correct.
Exactly.
The way he does things more.
So
it wouldn't offend a lot of people like how Trump sometimes just.
well, and that's it, right? So I think with Biden being in there, I think in the last 4 years, people just got fed up with how Trump dealt with things, right? And obviously, 4 years ago, people loved him over Hillary, and as he dealt with policies, as he dealt with things that come about, he did it in a way that pissed off a lot of people, right?
He's just not a very experienced politician.
And
Like,
he wasn't designed to be, right? And people wanted him though. People that's why voted him.
My goodness, it was a close. It was like when I was watching the election, it felt like it was really close that he could like have a strong finish, but then like I guess not. Yeah.
No, but I think that's what I mean, right? People prefer not to have him continue because they're so worried that he's going to continue
Making up kind of like
getting
very
the relationship
controversial
worse,
things.
right? So
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So, what about the injection of money into the stimulus package?
yeah, so I think with Trump out of the picture, assuming he is going to be out.
Right.
Well, he is going to be out. It's just how he gets out of the White House, right? Biden is more of a positive symbol, and obviously last couple of weeks, like you saw the markets starting to go up simply because he got elected. And as I said before, the president being elected is more certainty, and markets love certainty. So that's why you saw a boost in the increasing value. But second of all is that now that the election is over, now they're going to go back and start talking about printing money, like how much to print, when to print. That could be in November, or it could be in December, or it could be in January. We don't know, but then it's coming. And then the amount, we don't know, is it 1.2, is it going to be 1.8, but trillion, exactly. So I think that's in the next 3 months, that news is going to come out, and that's going to cause the markets to move higher. So we've got money printing, Biden, and then we've got, not to mention, Pfizer has a 90% efficiency vaccine.
China says they have 100.
Yeah.
Or Russia have a higher like success 90 something.
Who has the highest then?
We don't know, but obviously what China has is not being shipped out. So
Until you try all of them.
yeah, unless there's a comparison, right? But so then with Pfizer having the 90% efficiency vaccine, and assuming it comes out maybe in second quarter or third quarter of 2021, then you've got pretty much 3 positive news that's going to support. And I would say then going forward, it's pretty much slowly but surely the market will grind higher.
I just wish they would take out the quarantine for us in here in Canada. Like when you travel internationally, like if you can just take a test.
Yeah.
You know, they were talking about this test for a long time. Then it would actually promote more tourists.
Right.
Right? If you just get tested, then people can just come and then you can take the vaccine if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I believe they would want to do that. It's just they don't have the vaccine that's efficient at this point, and they're very worried about if tourists coming from various countries.
So that's what the testing is for, right? Is it good? What about testing?
Well, the testing is good. You find out if someone has and doesn't have, but then now you got to deal with, okay, well, what if someone has it? Then you have all these tourists in Canada with COVID, and that's not an ideal situation either, right?
So I just saw like Elon Musk, he had a tweet. So he said he did a few tests, some said positive, some said negative.
The COVID test?
Yeah, is
Him?
it? Yeah, I saw it. He tweeted out.
Yeah. He said what? Some tests.
He said he did 2 or 3 tests or whatever. 2 says positive, 2 said negative.
There's not, well...
So the test may be not accurate. So I think that is what they're worried about.
Yeah.
So they're not dependent on the test. Is it? Or how does it work?
The test really just tells you have COVID or you don't have COVID. So it's a 50-50 chance. Right?
But see, so some tests said he has it, some tests said he didn't have it.
Exactly, but it's just that there's a malfunction.
Yeah, so that's why they.
But I remember once the testing came out, they only say that the accuracy is only like 40%.
That's why they still want to implement the quarantine.
Oh, there you go.
Because it's not very accurate. Then how do we know our cases are that high if it's not accurate?
No, but then the cases would be confirmed through testing, which is the 40. Well, whatever the test results shows is positive, right?
Yeah. Well, 40% is not now. It's back in like once they started the COVID testing. Now I think it might be more accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and ongoing like monitoring.
I see.
Yeah. But speaking of which, though, I mean, with Biden, like going back to Biden, like he's, I mean, it's an important thing because he represents very different. Like he's very different from Trump. So then.
They're different parties.
They're different parties, but how they handle things would be very different. What they symbolize is very different, and Americans want someone that's more politically correct, right? And obviously the first thing, like I said, he did was put the COVID task force together so they can get rid of, or try to get rid of this COVID cases altogether, right?
So, like, knowing these policies are coming in, how do we plan our finance? And how, like, what is the projection in the market and in terms of the interest rate for real estate?
Yeah.
And how does one prepare and be ready and then, you know, be ahead knowing these policies are coming?
Well, I think simply put, if Biden is going to undo certain things that Trump has done and then going to reestablish relationships with various countries and make people have confidence in the economy again, and if the vaccine is really efficient, then think about this, when the vaccine comes out, the gates would open and people would just go back to work like normal and traveling will come back. So assuming those are the cases, like assuming this is all happening, then the economy will reboot itself, right, in a much more efficient way. If you actually look at the labor numbers from June, July, August, September, the numbers have people employed are actually increasing slowly.
Yeah, pivot their, like, the way to get things done.
Yeah, so employment numbers are actually increasing very, very, very slowly. But if the vaccine comes out, then that the employment numbers would actually increase exponentially. So the way you want to position yourselves is assuming today the economy is at the slowest point, fast forward 3, 6 months, 9 months from now, with the vaccine, with the money printed, with Biden in power, then the economy will really, really reboot itself. So you want to be positioning yourselves in more, like, for example, like real estate, stocks, and then as I keep saying, inflation is coming. So you want to make sure you have some gold exposure as well.
Yeah. Well, how about the interest rate? It's record low.
So what I heard is the bond price is increasing. So how does it affect interest rate in the long run?
Well, the interest rates, they're still at historical lows at this point in time. And at this point in time, they've already said they're not looking at changing it they're not even looking at increasing it until 2023.
Yeah, that's what I saw earlier, yeah.
Right, so we've got 3 years of low interest rates, so expect that's going to happen. But obviously bond price and bond interest rates, they have a opposite relationship, right? If bond price goes up, if the interest rates go up, then the bond prices come down, and then vice versa. If bond interest rates go down, then your bond prices go up. So depending on what happens in the next 3 years, which, like I said, the interest rate doesn't seem like it's going to change, or at least they've said that they're looking at changing, then assume the bond price is going to be pretty flat.
Okay.
No.
So we're seeing like 5-year fixed right now for mortgage rates is around like 1.79 to 1.89 is really good to actually get into the market.
It's really good to buy.
Very cheap money.
Especially right now is November.
Yeah.
In BC, our BC assessment is coming out closer to December. So before that's gonna be, in my projection, gonna be up. So every year in the spring, when there's an increase in BC assessment, the market goes up. So knowing that, if you're a buyer that wants to buy, I would secure, like, qualify for mortgage and buy right now, right? From my experience, most of the year besides last year, if you buy in these last 2 months of the year, you often make money in the spring.
Okay. Because of the new assessment that came out, people expectation it's like higher because they actually see a higher BC
because
assessment
this year
price.
has been, actually, October was a record October in terms of transaction.
So I guess for some listeners, they may not fully understand what drives the BC assessment value. Like, so can you kind of elaborate on that?
So is the BC assessment only evaluate during July, right? So of the whole year.
So the recent one, if you look at your BC assessment number, it came from July of 2019.
Okay.
July of 2019 is actually a really slow, it's like record slow in terms of transaction in almost like the last 20, 30 years. The first 6 months almost, I think 60% of the agent didn't even make one transaction. So 2019 was a record slow year, so that is why, like, the BC assessment is quite low, because of course the stress test mortgage making it very difficult to qualify last year. So this year, with that being loosened up and then also the lower interest rate, this year there's a surge in transaction in terms of, like, especially for lower price properties that are below 1 million, in they were just like selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
So that is why like it depending on your local area,
Yeah.
and then you can kind of look at the numbers, the benchmark, and then there's an increase in transaction. So with the increase in transaction and increase in price, the BC assessment also look at the average.
Yeah.
So it will like based on that they will be going up because also they can collect more taxes, right?
Yes. So two things. I think we have to look into this like two-sided. So one is actually the stress test. The stress test is still the same, okay? But
Is it same? I thought they
well,
make it easier, right?
they actually decrease the posted rate a little bit because of the interest rate cut. But then I will say that it doesn't affect too much of when you're actually qualifying. It might actually increase by like 2% of your qualifying amount. It's a little bit easier, but then it's not that much.
So the buyers still need to first qualify
Yes.
first.
Yeah.
But like the mindset is totally different when actually interest rate is that cheap, and then there's a lot of investors trying to actually get into the market as well.
So they take they only look at July. They don't look at any other.
No, well they do the whole like year sales, right? This is the new one coming. I think it's
But as of July.
yeah. I think it's
Okay,
a lot of it will
okay,
be dated
okay,
on
okay.
July, which was still very active. This year we had a pretty only stopped a little bit during COVID. Like March was a record month. Because those were sold in February.
Right.
Because last year was so slow. So March was the record month. Then it slowed down because of like COVID, like unprecedented lockdown. Then it increased again in the summer. And then up to October was a record month.
Right. Okay.
But since November, they said, okay, now no more, like they don't encourage open house. So I don't know what the numbers will be for November, but yeah. So, but if you really want to buy and so number one step is again, qualify with your mortgage broker. Once you know you qualify, then really try to buy something this month or next month. Yeah.
Well, that's how you also do your financial plan as well too, right? So you
Yes.
know what you can qualify, not necessarily that you have to purchase right now,
Yeah.
but you know that what you can qualify and what you can afford, and the next like maybe down the road in the 1, 2 years or 3 years, and then you can plan ahead.
Well, it's all about positioning, right? It's not necessarily whatever you're doing today is like what Melissa was saying. It's positioning for the next month or 2 months, just like with anything else, right? Right, even in the stock market, whatever we're buying today is not necessarily for today. It's actually for 3 months, 6 months down the road. Because as soon as, like, if the new assessment comes out or any positive news come out about a certain company, then the price of just would skyrocket. And by the time then if you react then you're already too late. You've missed the opportunity. So everything that you do today, and I think one thing people can take away today is, if you want to prepare and you want to position today for something that will happen in the next few months, 6 months, right? Never react after the fact. So planning is important.
Yes, like Mark Twain said, the secret to getting ahead is getting started.
Yeah. Take the first step, get things organized. So I guess for today, then we are here and we're gonna go and enjoy our sunshine on a Sunday morning. So until next time, we'll chat soon. Thank you.
Yay, see ya.
See you later.
How long was that?
22.
If you enjoyed listening to the podcast, you have to check out AM 605 on Facebook, where it's all about real investment and financing strategies. Brought to you by Melissa Wu PREC, Gary Chan Mortgage Team, and Joe Tang Wealth and Investment.